So, you've just found the most perfect t-shirt for yourself at a fantastic low price. That's cool, but now someone is flying somewhere to deforest a property to create a farm. And while you are waiting, the farm quickly grows cotton and ships it out to be processed somewhere else into thread, and then fabric, probably dyed, and then it's sewn into a pattern and finally either printed or embroidered. And after your shirt is kept in storage and run through numerous factories, rinse and repeat, it still has to be shipped one last time to you. And then later, depending on the quality level, this shirt may only last for 3 or 4 pictures before it goes into the garbage. Maybe you donate it, but then it's still eventually thrown into the garbage. Or maybe you take a second before buying into fast fashion. There's so much more that you should know. The less resources we use, the more time we humans have on Earth. You know, I never do a hook like that, but I've been watching so much Gordon Ramsay and his commercials just keep popping on my YouTube for his masterclass, so I hope you enjoyed it. Hello, my name is Artem Alexandra and welcome to the channel. Welcome back if you are an Artemer. Hello, how are you doing? I hope you are well. Today we are going to be doing another episode of Ask Artem Anything. And honestly, this question is from months ago. I've been just thinking about it so hard. And I know the rules of the series was that I don't think about it, but man, what a question. So let's get into it, right? So a while back, one of you guys asked me for classic, what are my 3 wishes? Like Aladdin, what are your 3 wishes? And without any like fancy flares, this isn't necessarily like a very philosophical concept, unless you want it to be. I did think of a number of like ways that we could look at this in a philosophical way. Are magical wishes ethical? Why is the genie so protective over autonomy? Why does genie not want to bring people back from the dead? Is it autonomy, or is it just gross? Or does it disrupt the natural flow of life or our afterlife? Thinking about it more, I think wishes are just basically the classic staple to anything philosophical. Existentialism. For me, I think wishes are a point of existentialism in looking at ourselves within the larger world, what we cannot control, the larger things outside of us that we want to be able to change. I specifically want the world to be a better place, and so I assume that we all want to change things for the better and not just for ourselves, obviously. And so I guess that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about today. My 3 wishes and what I think could be drastically changed in the world. One word that I want to change and a brainstorm to that. So, here we go. So the first of the 3 issues that I want to see get better is property. And so when I started my brainstorm for this, it was a personal problem a little bit. I would like to move out into a house with a yard and all that goodness, but availability is number 1 on the list. And really, it's a global issue. And this has a lot to do with the second one, the capitalistic gap, which would be for the rent versus our living wage. Sometimes landlords will raise rent, and then the living wage, where you get money coming in, does not come up at the same rate whatsoever. What's unfortunate about this is the next ticket on the docket here, which is consumerism. Buy more and more, right? But what is this an issue with when it comes to houses? It's that people want to buy more and more and just rent them out or flip them for more money. Honestly, if you want to see more about this, Tiffany Ferg makes some fantastic videos about this issue, so check her out for sure. The The next one is a really deep issue that affects a large portion of marginalized societies, which is new businesses and gentrification. What this is generally big business, but sometimes it can actually be individual, independent people. But it's where you pretty much buy out expiring contracts or very low for sale properties, and then you make them hugely more expensive than the socioeconomic population of that area can actually afford. For instance, selling a t-shirt at an area where you can afford a t-shirt that's maybe like $10 and then they sell it for like $30. If this sounds familiar, know that it's not cool. Last on the list is the most classic one of them all, of course, and that's garbage dumps. First of all, they smell terrible. Second of all, they contaminate everything. And third of all, you realistically cannot or ever use the land ever again. Or like, you gotta wait 100 years. From a fantastic video by Economics Explained, the host of the channel raises 6 awesome reasons where housing availability is a current crisis for a myriad of spiderwebbed, brainstormed reasons. First, low interest rates. This is where you can buy things for way too low of a cost. 2, economic status. Back to before about the consumerism of buying houses, this can only be a hobby for pretty much rich people, so you can't get in the game unless you're in the game, basically. Third, more budget for housing. So what this is more people have savings due to the economic stimulus, as well as just staying home more often due to the pandemic. But the video explained that people would literally get thousands of dollars in certain countries and then put that directly towards buying a new home. Fourth on the list is a higher savings rate, to where people are getting larger amount of interest boosts, if I'm remembering correctly. Fifth on the list is people are too scared to sell their houses because it is such a awful market to be in. And then last on the list, 6, is construction halts, because there's not enough resources for people wanting to do things. All of the everything that you could ever think of as an issue is generally an issue in the housing, property, area, everything.
These 6 factors mean that despite all the turbulence in the global economy at the moment, house prices are continually creeping up. But perhaps that might actually be for the best. There looks to be no shortage of people complaining about expensive housing. However, not as many have stopped to ask if this is actually a problem.
What's unfortunate is the long history of wanting to own your own property, especially in America, where I grew up. That's what I can speak from the most. The American dream, owning your own house with a white picket fence and a yard where you can raise your children, have a little doggy, cute, cute, cute. But this has become more of an investment game because people are just wanting to buy their house as a freaking asset. Realistically, it is just a necessity of life. You just need a roof over your head. You don't need something to invest in and it to grow money. No. Let's get to the next point before I rant for the next hour, okay? From a video by WD News, there is definitely a global housing crisis where landlords are pretty much just milking all of the money that they possibly can get out of their tenants, to a point where people are no longer able to afford their rent.
Millions of Americans have the prospect of eviction hanging over them. In each of these states, over 18% of renters failed to pay their rent on time in August 2021. In many more states, that was still the case for 10 to 18% of tenants. Only a few remaining states had a lower rent delinquency rate.
Rent growth is the strongest I've ever seen it in history, so.
This does go back to like what gentrification means in affecting specifically marginalized societies. But what's unfortunate is the lower economic layer of human beings are growing and growing further as a marginalized society purely due to landlords. Even when I hear landlords, I'm like, you have way too much power in your title. You think you're going to own this when actually you're just giving someone a necessity of life again. Okay, so my second wish is population, which is a big, all-encompassing word for pretty much all issues. But I do have population and, spoiler alert, the planet into two separate categories. Realistically, I know they're the same category. Oh well. Okay, so population. What obviously comes to mind? Overpopulation. Did you know the Earth has a limit to which we're going to reach within my lifetime? Potentially within my children's lifetime? I'm not sure when that's even going to start. It's going to happen. Fortunately, I was able to potentially find an answer in a video that I will share with you after my brainstorm. So second to this is going to space? ? As you know, there are certain individuals who probably believe going to space will help all of our problems, be it either a population or garbage, and how much garbage leaks into our planet and our air. That's something I don't know, but it's on the list. That's a thing. Third on this population list is resources, and I found this thanks to an awesome video by DW Planet A, which is fantastic, and I will share it with you in a second. But what is really important is something that you learn maybe the first day in school. Resources are generally very limited, and there's even very specific words which the vocab I couldn't just remember, unfortunately. But most resources, if not all, due to our population, are used up at a faster rate than they can be sustained, than they can be grown, or they are just there. Be it for dinosaur fossils. Can't make them anymore. Yet we use them. Why? I don't know. All of this use of resources leads to our last little bubble for population, which is pollution. And realistically, all pollution is due to humans. I know cows make pollution. I know garbage makes pollution. But why is there so much garbage in cows? Because of people. All of the pollution, no matter what it be, takes up space, takes air, takes clean air, and it takes pretty much our ability to use our planet away. If you don't know how the ozone layer hole was created, I would suggest you look it up. What's really important to remember about population and why, being a part of a sustainable population is important is because of the Earth's carrying capacity. From an article here. According to the United Nations, our population is expected to reach 9.8 billion by 2050 and 11.2 billion by 2100. And that, many scientists believe, is the maximum carrying capacity of the Earth. So to do the math again for us today, 2022 minus 2100 is 78 years. So if you think about the average length of a human being's lifespan, we're gonna need to care about this issue quickly, if not now. And if you've seen the movie Idiocracy, or at least the hook, intro to it, many more smart people choose to not add to the population because of this problem. But the reverse does not ring true. I'll let you do with the information as you will. So again, to give us the awesome side of the coin here from DW Planet A, the planet could potentially reach its limit by 2100 if we use less resources, period.
So we're not quite sure what the Earth's carrying capacity is because the variables are constantly changing. One thing's for sure, it's not the population element that's going to be the problem. Already in the developed world, the population has largely stabilized or begun to decline. and the developing world is on track to follow. Education and access to contraception are driving the numbers down.
Now, I know, and I know, oh my gosh, do I know, America is the worst offender out of the entire list of every country ever. And I'm sorry. As an American, can I apologize for everyone? And so, pretty much, if we Americans didn't live the way we do today, the carrying capacity of the Earth could be wildly larger, and we wouldn't need to go to space.
It's time to change the narrative, away from the easy-to-blame visual problem of population to the more hidden and dangerous concerns of waste and overconsumption.
I wouldn't asterisk, right, side note here. Going to space every time causes pollution in the air. Okay, just had to say that really quick. End of asterisk. In my true belief, opinion, or all scientists ever, the carrying capacity of the Earth can wildly change solely based on America alone. The more America uses, the quicker we'll reach the year. The less, the farther away, which is great to hear, super great to hear, because I am a part of the problem, and I do as much as I freaking can about that, just me. So the last wish I have for you today is our planet, Earth, Terra. Love it. You live on it. This was not an easy list to make, and honestly, this section might be the shortest because, literally every time I watch Avatar I bawl my eyes out. I care too much, I cry. And we'll get to that in the outro. First, deforestation. You might notice I have my Oregon cup here today. This was not by happen chance, but it is a great freaking reminder. When I went to Oregon, I expected to see lots and lots of trees. I did not expect to see lots of cut fields. Luckily they have an awesome sustainable system there where they grow pretty much as they take, but trees don't grow that fast. Just saying. But other than the lumber industry, let's talk about everything else, okay? Everything else, including farms, factories, housing, everything, which realistically adds to pollution and contamination and ruins, biological environments and destroys living structures for small microbiology. And oh my gosh, yeah, see, I'm getting too worked up. I'm gonna cry. Anyways, next, fast consumerism. This includes everything from fast fashion to fast gadgetry. This has a lot to do with our innovation rate, but as much to do with our consumption rate. Okay, so if you have an old ass phone and you're using it, that's super duper awesome. One less phone not in the garbage. I think phones might be a bad example because I have no idea what they do behind the scenes. I know phone carriers, they always want to have your old one, so maybe they're recycled, but I freaking doubt it. TBH, I didn't realize how much it's just a whole rant this entire video might be, but I had a lot of fun thinking about my 3 wishes, so thank you again. Third for our planet today is the #1 big hot top trendy thing, cryptocurrency, which is curious enough as it is. I'm all about fighting the man, but I think to a certain point people are becoming their own man, creating little pyramid schemes and all that goodness. And it turns out, I just found this out, did you know cryptocurrency is actually a huge pollutant to the world in the way that it's actually created and stuff? So can't support that anymore unless they find a sustainable way to create it. I don't really get it in the first place, so to find out that it actually takes emissions effort is almost not surprising. But again, who gets what it is? I just know that it's terribly bad. Last here is waste and single-use products. More and more companies are creating single-use products. Why? I don't know. Today even, I saw like Dawn created a whole new bottle shape, and I'm like, looks like it uses more plastic though. Why? Why? And then there was the whole new magic eraser wipes that you can just toss, pitch out. And there's all the whole like classic paper towels being all like, don't use a dirty dish rag. Those are dirty. Use a clean wipe and then throw it away. No. Why? Also, like, why can't America get on the bidet game? I know I've never tried it. Like, I have to be honest and transparent there. But why is Charmin making all these flushable wipes? Why do you think they're flushable in the first place? I just realized that a huge theme to everything I'm talking about. They're all cleaning supplies, so take a look at your cleaning supplies if you're trying to do anything. Use as many old racks as you can. Heck, one of the resources I found was like use old t-shirts for your dish rags instead of them being thrown into the garbage. Boom, boom. I found an awesome video on, the world just collapsing by 2040. But as I said, I don't really want to talk about this wish too much because it hurts deep inside.
Pollution continues to increase exponentially, and things like recycling of common materials never become economically viable or subsidised widely enough. Industrial output does reach a higher level than in all of the other possible scenarios, but that is about where the good news ends. A drop in food production causes massively declining birth rates in rich countries and famines in poor countries. The lack of young workers reduces industrial output, which further hinders economic prosperity. Easily accessible resources also dwindle away, which again further reduces industrial output and economic prosperity. By all accounts, this is what we would consider a complete collapse of society.
Chapter 2, granting 3 wishes with 1 t-shirt. Easy peasy, right? What's one thing, one solution that we can help all 3 of these categories, if not everything we listed within these categories? So as I quickly went over in my intro, the t-shirt goes through a long life cycle before it actually gets to you. It might even go through like 5+ factories and storage facilities and trucks and boats and, airplanes and all that goodness before it gets to you. And so one thing that you could potentially do is order less t-shirts, less low quality shirts that will last for very little time. Lastly, wear things as long as you possibly can. Like, I have a sweater in my closet that I bought in 8th grade, dude. Just keep it things as long as you can. Hand-me-downs, Donate your clothes, but make sure that they're like clean and folded nicely so that they won't just throw them in the garbage, okay? So many factories, so many trucks. Maybe we could even find a place that does like an all-in-one. If Hanes, the #1 big guy on the list, is like, we do all things in one factory to not cause any more emissions with trucks and storage facilities and more factories and more everything, then maybe we should give them a good thumbs up. I know Levi is doing some awesome commercials right now with Jaden Smith, classic. But to look at all of our thought bubbles versus the t-shirt alone and its life cycle, the more farms growing cotton, the more factories, the more storage facilities, and the more truck places, they have to store them somewhere, the less available property. Boom. For the next 2, the capitalistic gap and consumerism, more than often, people living with higher wages have higher quality clothes and vice versa. And so if you have to keep spending money on clothes because they keep falling apart, you won't be able to get in that investment game, brah. But I know that these 2 might be a bit of a far spiderwebbed reach. So you make up your own mind. New businesses and gentrification. This actually was my example earlier in that little boutique selling t-shirts for way too much that are at very low quality fabrics and materials and all that goodness. Then yes, it does count. And then finally, in property for fast fashion, garbage dumps is obviously the #1 because that's where they all end up. fast fashion in our population would be to look at literal overpopulation, and too many people are supporting it, which is creating the industry. It is making it boom. It is making it thrive. If not, more and more people are buying Cricut cutter machines and creating their own little fast fashion boutiques. I actually just found out that like Redbubble's quality is terrible, so I might have to close down my shop on there and research Society 6's quality. If not have any of my art online for supporting any of that. So great way to not have my business. The next one's a little silly too, but going to space versus fast fashion. Why is there so much NASA t-shirts and sweaters everywhere? Is it subliminal messaging to support this weird going to space venture? I don't know, maybe. But it's definitely, honestly, everything NASA related that I own is really high quality, so maybe not, maybe not. Third, resources. Obviously, fast fashion has a huge hit on resources in that it uses it for everything, including, you know, the cotton, the fabric, the making it, the water. How much freaking water that goes in to making t-shirts is freaking gross, okay?
The cotton plants require a huge quantity of water and pesticides. 2,700 liters of water are needed to produce the average t-shirt, enough to fill more than 30 bathtubs.
Not to mention like the gasoline and the air travel, like everything. I can feel myself getting hot. Am I getting hot? This topic gets me heated, so makes sense. This goes all directly into the last point, the resources. Goes straight into pollution as soon as you use it, almost all of the time, because the factories, they take the water in and they poop crap out. Same with the gasoline. You take the dinosaur bones out and you just put the poop right back out. I thought that would come out better. So fast fashion in the last category, planet. Yeah, everything. Of course, everything. You're going to obviously, you know, chop down trees to make your cotton farms. One of my categories was actually fast consumerism, so that's just like a little free space on the bingo board there, I guess. Cryptocurrency would definitely count when you consider people putting NFTs on like Redbubble and selling them when they, you know, either do or do not have the copyrights. We're not getting into that today. And then waste or single-use products. Hell, some fast fashion aren't even single-use products because you'll put it on and it'll rip. Hashtag LuLaRoe no bro. Overall, with this solution here, don't support fast fashion. Please support quality, super duper awesome, long-lasting fashion. Not fast. Slow and steady. Just like the classic adage, man. Because what's really unfortunate is that fast fashion has become the number 2 polluter of the entire world. What?
This dramatic shift in clothing consumption over the last 20 years, driven by large corporations and the trend of fast fashion, has cost the environment, the health of farmers, and driven questionable human labor practices. It's also turned fashion into the second largest polluter in the world after oil.
And at number 3, I do want to mention it here, is food waste. Again, America, you're awful.
Food is huge. It's about almost a third of all global emissions go to the food system. The waste nothing if possible.
No one can really deny that the human population has an impact on the environment. But right now, wealthier countries emit so much carbon that even adding 3 or 4 billion people in the global south won't significantly impact the rate of climate change.
So if you ever have any like leftovers, freaking save them and eat them, and then try to be really great in your portions, because I know leftovers of 2 small portions is really like inconvenient. So like learn how to cook less food is what I'm trying to do. It's going great. Just add more vegetables and then eat them. So chapter 3, I wanted to go over real quick. I wanted to do a whole video on it, but this is like the perfect place to, it's the puzzle piece, right? So the sociological imagination. I'd like to think of it as just, you are so much bigger than you think you are, because we're all a part of one beautiful, happy planet, right? So the sociological imagination was conceptualized in 1959 by Wright Mills for people to better understand that they are a part of a larger society and to imagine this much more easily, pretty much to be outside of yourself, much larger. Because you realistically are, because you are one grain of a large pile, mountain of sand. Without all of it, we'd be nothing, okay? I have a lot of caffeine in me. So Mills stated, neither the life of an individual nor the history of a society can be understood without understanding both. So that's from his actual novel, The Sociological Imagination, but it's from the Lumen Learning. To read some more of what they shared, Mills's sociological imagination allows individuals to see the relationships between events and their personal lives, biography, and the events in their society, history. In other words, this mindset provides the ability for individuals to realize the relationship between their personal experiences and the larger society in which they live their lives. And so understanding what the sociological imagination is, as well as using it, will be able to give you the ability to empathize with everyone, including other cultures, other countries, other everythings, mini cultures, while also being able to sympathize that you are a part of the problem when there is a problem, of course. A common example of this is a job, losing your job. Generally, you can blame yourself, like, oh, I'm nothing, I'm a poopy piece of trash. No, don't say that to yourself. But realistically, this is generally like a much larger socioeconomic structure problem, and not just an individual problem. And so using your sociological imagination can actually make you feel better about your one issue. It's not your fault.
For example, if in a city of 100,000 people, only one person is unemployed, then the unemployment constitutes as a personal trouble. However, if in the same city, 1,000 people are unemployed, then this unemployment constitute as a public issue.
But when we turn that coin around, we can also look at being a part of the issue, in which, what if you have the ability to create more jobs? What if you have the ability to create less pollution? It's all a part of the same thing. So lastly, I just want to say, the less resources we use, the more time we humans have on Earth. So that's just like a big heavy thing to think about right there. Transitioning smoothly here. I know we all get a little bit of existentialism and, nihilism when it comes to doing something about the planet. We are all one human being. And so this is why it is very important for philosophers to also dip their toes into sociological concepts. If we don't look at the overwhelming, awful feeling of the existential crises that is caused by the Earth ending, then we won't be able to fix the nihilism that comes from it. We all think there's nothing to do. It's too little too late. And I'm gonna cry even thinking about it anymore. So, philosophers, get your shit together. I know I too need to care more about current events and things going on in the world. And that's something that was actually really inspiring to me about when I first learned about Simone de Beauvoir, one of the most amazing French existential philosophers. She mostly only wrote about current events, other than the book I read, The Ethics of Ambiguity. So we all have the same carbon footprint. You have yours, I have mine, but the human race has one too. And you could think of it larger, like America's is much larger than everyone else's, and I think that might be the most fairest to look at it. One of the videos actually was like, why can you think of population as just numbers?
To say there's too many people is sort of an unkindness to a person, you know, like which person thinks there are too many? You know, no one.
You can't when you think of some countries are much better at being more sustainable than America. So I'm sorry if I'm just being a Debbie Downer now. I'm just trying not to cry. As a bit of an outro here, just like finishing up, wrapping up, I want to say Idiocracy needs to be made again, remade completely, if not just like rewrite the script and freaking edit it. It's bad to hear, man. There's so much of like the R word and the F word and like the, I don't know. Love Dax Shepard, love Terry Crews, love, who's the main guy? Is it David Arquette? No, I don't think so, but either way, frickin', oh my gosh, Mia Rudolph, love her. So many great people in that movie, but oh my gosh, is this script terrible. It's just frickin' sprinkled with naughty words of the 2020 era, and it's like cringy. I never used that word, but that's how it made me feel. Or we could have like a prequel to WALL-E. Disney, are you listening? Oh my gosh, imagine if we saw like the Earth before it was awful. Or we could like not destroy WALL-E by creating another part of it's not a franchise, don't make another. We just need more examples of this going on because too many people are worrying about the wrong thing, man. I hope I helped you maybe think about some other things to stress about other than other stressful things. If you guys have made it all the way here to the end, just know that you are super duper duper appreciated. And honestly, from the YouTube analytics, it's like you're 5%, man. You are a part of the very narrow margins of people who finish my videos. So I love you and you're so fantastic. And I wish you have a fantastic rest of your day. And if you want to design and make t-shirts, I think we should do a lot of research on how that is like actually done sustainably. Because I know I want to get into that game. I freaking love designing things. I had so much inspiration from the resource videos that I watched. Like so many of them were animated and I was like, oh, it's so cute. I want to draw little drawings. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed all of those. It pretty much like I would have recorded this days ago if I hadn't have created the drawings and gotten the inspiration to do so, and I think it was worth it. It's been so much fun chatting with you. I can't wait to hear all of your thoughts on this topic. I know I'm absolutely terrible about responding to comments. Honestly, I've got like ADD, ADHD, and anxiety, and like reading huge long things. Like it just takes me a minute to do it. Okay, so I will, and I love you, and I appreciate you, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. I read every single comment as soon as they're posted, but it might take me like 3 weeks to write back to you. I'm sorry. It's just something I'll have to get better at. Okay, I'll work at it. Okay. Doing that Michigan thing where I'm just like not saying goodbye when I'm saying goodbye, but okay. I love you.